Abbott, Texas. Population 300. That is the whole description. Not 300,000, not 30,000. 300 people. A grain elevator, a water tower, a few streets of modest houses and flat land extending in every direction to a horizon that seems farther away than horizons do in most places. In 1933, a boy was born in Abbott, Texas. His name was Willie Hugh Nelson. His parents, Ira and Merle, were young and struggling, and ultimately unable to raise him. They separated when Willie was very small. Willie and his sister Bobby were raised by their grandparents, Alfred and Nancy Nelson, who were, by any conventional measure, not wealthy people. They were people from Abbott, Texas, which told you something specific about the dimensions of their world. Alfred Nelson played fiddle. Nancy Nelson played organ at the Abbott Methodist Church. Music was not a luxury in that house. It was the furniture. It was how the family organized itself around Sunday. It was what happened when the day's work was done and the evening needed something to fill it. Willie grew up inside music the way children grow up inside weather, not studying it, not deciding to engage with it, just breathing it as part of the general atmosphere of being alive. He wrote his first song at age 7. There is a quality worth noting in that fact, not just the age, which is remarkable, but the nature of what it means to be 7 years old and write a song. At 7, you don't have technique, you don't have theory, you don't have the accumulated vocabulary of someone who has studied music. You have feeling. You have the direct, unmediated experience of something that needs to be expressed before you have the language to explain what expressing it means. Willie Nelson had that. He had it before he had anything else. His grandmother sent away for a guitar, mail order. This is worth imagining concretely. A woman in Abbott, Texas, a small woman, careful with money, in a time when mail order was the mechanism by which people in small places reached into the larger world, sending away for a guitar, deciding that this child needed an instrument. The guitar arrived. It was not expensive. It was not particularly well made, but it was a guitar. 6 strings and a hollow body, and the possibility of everything. Willie Nelson held it for the first time. He has talked about this moment in interviews, and he always talks about it with a quality of trying to get back to something specific. The exact weight of that guitar. The exact feeling of the strings under his fingers. The exact quality of the first note he produced on an instrument that belonged to him. It felt right, he has said, like it was supposed to be there, like I was supposed to be holding it. From that point forward, Willie Nelson's life organized itself around music the way a river organizes itself around gravity. Not by choice, exactly. By nature. By the fundamental fact of what he was. He played in church with his grandparents. He played at local dances and events as a child performer, earning money to help with the household expenses, which in Abbott, Texas, in the 1940s, was not an unusual role for a child. Everybody contributed what they could. Willie contributed music. At 10 years old, he picked cotton to earn extra money. He sold seeds door to door. He shined shoes. He did the various small economies of a Depression-era childhood. In a small Texas town, where the adults around him were also doing whatever small economies were available. And in the evenings, he played guitar. Always. At 12, he joined his first band, Bud Fletcher and the Texans, his brother-in-law's group. They played dances and honky-tonks in the surrounding area, dance halls full of working people who wanted something to move to at the end of a week of physical labor. Willie Nelson played for them. There is something worth holding in that image. A 12-year-old boy in a honky-tonk in 1940s Texas, playing guitar for adults who were twice and 3 times his age. Adults who had survived the Depression, who were navigating the particular anxieties of a country heading toward or through a world war, who needed music the way people in difficult times have always needed music, to locate themselves, to feel something besides what the week had given them, to be reminded that life contained something beyond labor and worry. Willie Nelson was 12 years old, and he was providing that. Not performing it, providing it. He graduated from Abbott High School in 1950. Abbott High School, a school small enough that everyone in it knew everyone else, and the graduation class was measured in dozens, not hundreds. Willie graduated. Then he worked. Various jobs. The Air Force for a period. Back to Texas. And always underneath or alongside the jobs, the music. Playing wherever there was a place to play. In the mid-1950s, Willie got his first radio job, a disc jockey position in Texas. He played music for an audience he couldn't see, separated from them by technology, having to trust that the voice going out over the airwaves was reaching someone. It was reaching people. It was always reaching people. That's the thing about Willie Nelson that the story of Abbott makes clear. He was never not reaching people. From the church in Abbott, to the honky-tonks, to the radio station, to Nashville, to Austin, to the world, he was always, uninterruptedly, reaching toward the person on the other side of the music. Nashville in the late 1950s and early 1960s told him he didn't fit. Nashville didn't know about Abbott, didn't know about the grandmother who sent away for a guitar in the mail, about the child who first held that guitar and felt something click into place, about the 12-year-old in the honky-tonk who already knew how to give an audience what it needed. Nashville didn't know any of that. Nashville just heard a voice that phrased slightly differently, a songwriter whose melodies moved in unexpected directions, a style that didn't fit the formula, and said, "Wrong." Willie Nelson kept writing. He sold Crazy to Patsy Cline in 1961. He sold Hello Walls. He sold Nightlife. Songs that became the currency of other people's success, while Willie Nelson continued to be, in the formal estimation of the music industry, a man who didn't quite fit. He kept writing anyway. Because you don't stop doing what you started doing in a small house in Abbott, Texas, at the age of 7. Not because someone is paying you, not because someone is validating you, because it's what you are. The outlaw country years, the farm-aid years, the stardust years, the decades of road and music and people, and the accumulating evidence that what Willie Nelson had felt, holding that mail-order guitar for the first time, the rightness of it, the sense of something fitting into place, was not an illusion, was not the wishful thinking of a child who didn't know how hard the world was going to be, was the accurate perception of a person who understood, at age 6 or 7, what they were for, and spent the next 8+ decades proving it. Abbott, Texas, population 300. They have a water tower now with Willie Nelson's face on it. They have a Willie Nelson museum. They have the annual Willie Nelson birthday celebration that draws people from across the country to stand in a town of 300 people in flat central Texas and look at the place where something started. The place where a grandmother mailed away for a guitar, where a child held it for the first time and felt something. That feeling has now traveled to every country where music travels, to Glastonbury, to the Royal Albert Hall, to arenas and honky-tonks and prison gymnasiums and living rooms where someone put on a record and said, quietly, to no one in particular, "This is good." It started in Abbott. It started with a mail-order guitar. It started with a child who didn't know what he was doing, but knew how it felt. It's still going, because Willie Nelson is still playing, still on the road, still carrying trigger, still reaching toward the person on the other side of the music, the way he has been reaching since he was a child in Abbott, Texas, holding a guitar for the first time, feeling something click into place, and deciding, without quite knowing he was deciding, that this was it, that this was enough, that this was everything.